Hi, and welcome to Real Life with Jenny. My name's Jenny Sanaparatna. Grab your favorite drink and a snack, and we will get started. Today, I have some tea that my daughter actually randomly chose out of the cupboard for me, and it's called Rain Hill, and it's from Sri Lanka. So far so good. And I have some Little Debbie donuts. They're actually zebra donuts. If you've ever had a zebra cake, it's like that in donut form. Really can't complain. Pretty good. So let's get real. We have been traveling an awful lot, and that is a good and bad thing. But one of the really big stresses, besides my last podcast and the hotels, is eating out. So, our family, even before we had our daughter, we are not great at choosing places to eat. In fact, when we go on a big trip, it's kind of like a punishment for who has to choose that night. And so when it's only the three of us, every 3 nights you're supposed to choose where to eat. Now, part of it is none of us want to hurt anybody else's feelings. And the other part is my daughter and husband have very different tastes in food than I do. So when we're on the road, they want to eat something that they know and that they are comfortable with, that they've had 1,000 times. And I'm like, please don't make me eat it again. I have eaten it 1,000 times. I'm done, right? So a couple years back, the senior pastor's wife at our church, who I absolutely adore, put on Facebook something about her challenge for the year, however many years she was old at that point. She was going to go to that many restaurants. So I was like, that is perfect for me. So for the last few years, I have been doing the challenge of trying to get to, however old I am, that many new restaurants. Now, you would think that would be a really easy thing when you're on the road as often as we are. And it's not as hard as if we didn't go on the road. So this year I need to go to 45 restaurants between my birthday and my next birthday. And it has caused for some, very interesting situations. Not only is my family like, we would much rather be at the restaurant that we know and that we've been to 100 times, but it is, you get into some situations. So I thought I'd come on and just kind of talk a little bit about some of the situations that we've been in. So we went to this really fun little restaurant. It was just my husband and I, thankfully. Like, God just was so gracious, and it was just the two of us. We went to this restaurant, we got in, and it was kind of like, it was a wing shop, so it was just wings, which I'm not a huge fan of, but I was like, it's a new restaurant, it's new food, it's not Subway, so let's try it. And we ordered, and it was kind of just a very docile, everybody was kind of picking up their food and leaving, and wasn't very loud. They had a couple TVs up, a little teeny spot. It was, I don't know, probably like 6 tables total, not very big, and our wings come out, and I will tell you, first of all, the wings were delicious. I had garlic parmesan wings, for those who really care about what I ate, right? I had garlic parmesan noodles, wings, and then some like Hawaiian wings, and the garlic parmesan were like drive back to that area, which is 6 hours away, 5 hours away from home. And then they did the best thing, because you could get fries or you could get vegetable sticks. And so the guy was like, do you like celery? And I'm like, no. Sorry for those celery lovers. Ugh. And so I just got carrot sticks, and they were freshly cut, huge carrot sticks with homemade ranch sauce. I know, right now you're like, where's this place? Give me I didn't even need the wings. Just give me a big carrot stick, freshly cut carrot stick, and some ranch sauce. And I was like, it was amazing. So we're sitting there, and, because we don't have anywhere to go because we're on the road, so you can't bring it home. So you're sitting in the restaurant, and the music either changed or was turned up. I'm not 100% sure which one, because when we sat down, I was like, oh, it's not super loud in here. But someone turned up the music. And the music was not necessarily my style of music. It was a little more, I don't know what, it wasn't rock and roll, which is fine. I'm a country girl if I have to, listen to music other than worship. I know I just lost several of you. I'm sorry. But this was a little more, there were words in there that I did not know you could put together. Like it was like an educational moment for me. I did not know that certain swear words went with other swear words, and that you could say that many swear words in one sentence kind of blew my mind. And there were things that it was a very explicit, very raw, very loud music. And I was kind of blown away. I was like, this is a public, like, this is your restaurant and this is the music that you're playing. I'm not sure if the employees picked it. I'm guessing it wasn't corporate. Um, I don't know. Maybe it was. And maybe I'm just not their clientele. I don't know. But I was really shocked. At one point, I was like, oh, I must have misunderstood that. Kevin, did I misunderstand what they just said in that song? And then all of a sudden, there was like a whole sentence. And I'm like, I never knew that you could swear and there was enough verbs and adjectives in the swear word world that you could just put a whole sentence together with just them. I had no idea. I was like, oh, this is kind of educational for me. So we quickly ate and left, and got out of the restaurant, and I was like, really, the saddest part about that is I loved their food, but please don't ever make me go back and eat there because it was so very obnoxious. So the next day, because I'm just with Kevin and not with Samantha, so I'm no longer vetoed, because when there's two of them wanting to go to the same restaurants, but my husband is so gracious that I knew I could really go wherever I wanted. So the next night, we were still in the same town, and honestly, I wanted to go back to the wing shop, but I knew I couldn't handle the music for as long as it was, because the wings took like 20 minutes to get. So it was a pretty prolonged situation. So I just knew that I couldn't sit there again, even though it was delicious food. And so I wanted to try something new, and I'm always kind of partial to Mexican. That's something that I'm always like, oh, Mexican. That's how like when you look at my new restaurants for the year, a lot of them are Mexican restaurants, because those are mostly, owned by a family. They're not normally a chain. And so I absolutely love them. And they all kind of have the same kind of food. Some are better than others, but it's kind of one fun thing to try. But today I was like, I'm not feeling great, right? We had been working all day long, and it was just a really, really long day. And so I needed something comfortable. Like, I wanted some comfort food. So I said, let's go to a breakfast joint. Like, let's go somewhere that serves breakfast. And my lovely husband, who, is so patient, was like, sure. And so he Googled a place, and he found, and so we looked at like the reviews a little, and because you never know. Yeah, you really don't. And so he showed me the pictures, and I'm like, yeah, let's try it. It looks like a really cute little place. And so we kind of drive in an area that we had not really been in. And we get there, and there's no one else in the parking lot. The whole parking lot is completely empty. So that I'm not even sure it's open, right? You're not even sure it's open. So we get there, and there's someone sitting at one of the booths, and he gets up, he's like, yeah, what do you need? And we're like, well, is this, are you open? He's like, yeah, do you need something? And we're like, no, we would like to eat if you have food. And he's like, oh, I suppose, pick a place to sit down wherever you want. There's like 5 booths. So this is smaller than the last place. And he is the only one in the entire restaurant. So he is the waiter, he's the cashier, and he's the cook. Like, he does it all. I don't know if he owned the place or not. I'm kind of thinking he did. but it wasn't, obviously was not his name, because you'll find out why on the restaurant, but he made about it from someone else. And so he gives us this beautiful menu, and the menu was really overwhelming. You know, when you go to those diners, and this was kind of one of those places that has so many things on it, you don't even know where to start. It's almost too overwhelming that you're like, okay, I came here for breakfast. Don't get distracted by the super yummy looking sandwich or the super yummy looking, everything. It was like their food looked really, no pictures, but like the description sounded really great. So he comes over to get our order, and I'm like, so I'm trying to decide between French toast and pancakes. And he was like, well, French toast is French toast. And we don't have buttermilk pancakes. We only have cinnamon pancakes. And we don't have this. We only have this. And so he starts going through, like, pretty much, this is what I'm going to make you because this is what I have. Which is fine. So I ordered my cinnamon pancakes, and my husband orders some, like, toast and eggs, I think is what he ordered. Not even sure. And so we sit down. I mean, we're sitting there, and he brought us some water, and he goes to the back to cook. And as we're sitting there, a young lady comes in the door, and because it was there was no one else there, the door was propped open. So there isn't even like a ding ding. And she walks straight to the back with him. And all of a sudden, the fireworks ensued. Like, it was full on fighting. We heard everything. It was like a full, oh my goodness. I actually looked at Kevin and said, can we leave? This is embarrassing. Because there's no music in the entire place. And she is screaming at him and calling him names. And he's like, I have customers, be quiet. And then she's accusing him of all this stuff. And they're having this full-on domestic fight at work. And it happens. We all know it happens. But it's a little embarrassing when you're not involved. Actually, it's embarrassing when you're involved too. Although I haven't had that happen. But we're sitting there. And I was like, Kev, I've got a 20. We could just put it down on the table and leave. And say thank you for the food and just walk out without our food. And Kevin's like, we can't because I can't get out of the restaurant without passing them. And I'm like, oh, we're stuck. So we are stuck in a restaurant that we can hear every word they're saying to one another. Even when they're just talking, we can hear everything they're saying. And they were not talking. They were full on screaming. And so I know that they can hear everything we're saying. So we're like, kind of trying to whisper to one another, like, should we go? What should we do? And I'm just like, I don't do well with conflict when, it's on TV, let alone like in person. Like, it was so crazy to me. And so she leaves, and then he comes out, turns on some music, which I was super grateful for. He turned on a radio or something, and then he went back, finished our dinner, and brought it out to us, and was like, how are you doing? And and then he went outside, and they were fighting in the parking lot. So eventually, by the way, best pancakes I have ever had in my entire life. They were so good. I was tempted to go back. Like, they were so good. I know, I'm such a foodie. It's so ridiculous. But, so we pay for our food and we get in the car. And it just has been, like, on my mind. These two really odd experiences. And the only reason they're odd is because they're outside of my comfort zone, right? I'm not used to eavesdropping on people's domestic fights. Like, that isn't something that I am normally around, or maybe you are, I don't know, but it's not something that I'm normally part of, especially with complete strangers. And I'm not normally around music that teaches me new words that I've never heard. And I've been thinking so much about how my decision to try to get outside my comfort zone and experience new things caused a little bit of conflict, right? And do I continue to want to go to new places? Because really that's the big thing, right? I'm like, should we continue to try to find new places? Because we've had some really bad experiences now. And to tie it in to what I'm learning with God right now is so often we can get out of our comfort zone and something bad happens, something that doesn't go well. And we go, we're done. We're not going to try it anymore. We're not going to go down that road anymore. We're just going to turn that off. And I feel like this year with my Thrive, that I'm supposed to learn to thrive in this year. The only way that I am going to become a better person and try to learn what God is trying to teach me is by continually going into leaving my comfort zone and trying new things, even though they may be a complete disaster. Yes, the food was good. I mean, have we been to places that did not have the violent music and the violent fights and they had horrible food? Yes, we have been many places with really bad food that you're like, I'm not sure why they're still open. Yes, we have been there, but I'm not giving up. I'm not going to give up on something that is fun for me and something that you get to go to places sometimes that are such a gem that I never would have found if I wasn't looking. And that is true in every part of our life. We cannot give up. Just because we had a bad experience, we had a bad relationship, we made a bad financial choice, we had a bad experience at church, doesn't mean we say all churches are bad or all relationships are bad. I'm not doing that again. That is not the way to make progress in our lives. And we so often do that. We've been burned in a relationship and we refuse to make another relationship. I know that firsthand. I know you're shocked, right? I have made major mistakes in relationships and completely blown them up and destroyed relationships because of my foolishness. And other people have done the same thing to me. But I refuse to allow that to keep me from building new relationships and finding new friends and trusting people again. Because if I'm not willing to continually try that, I'm denying myself of all friendships. And I'm denying myself of all churches and all relationships with God. And I'm sure you can think of 100 things that you've been burned in and have stopped because it was outside your comfort zone, it didn't work, and now we're done. And I'm challenging you this week, or maybe this year. I'm just going to say it. I'm going to be bold. This year, maybe it is time to pick those back up and say, you know what? It didn't work, but I'm going to step outside my comfort zone one more time, and I'm going to try it because there is a gem out there. There are some diners out there that are not you cannot miss because they're so good, and you would have missed it. You would have missed the gem if you were not willing to set aside the craziness sometimes that happened before and go, I'm going to find something good eventually. So let's be bold. Let's think about the things that we've set aside and the lessons that we've learned, quote unquote, that keep us from trying new things and keep us from new relationships, keep us from relationship with God, keep us from, let's fill in the blanks, that have stopped us from doing that. And this year, it is time to set those before the Lord and say, Lord, I've been burned and I'm scared and I don't know how to do this, but I need your help. Well, that's all I have for you this week. You can find us at christconnection.cc/Jen or on Instagram and Facebook. We would love for you to join us at Real Life with Jenny and become part of our community. It would be great. Maybe I'll even start putting up pictures of the crazy restaurants we go to. Because there are some crazy ones. But there's also some gems. So let's start doing that, everyone. Let's start looking for putting aside the excuse that it didn't work and start being adventurous and going after some new things in our life.